Hello, and thank you for tuning in. In this episode, I'm joined by Annette and Taiwo to discuss The Most Secret Memory of Men by Mohamed Mbougar Sarr. We recorded the episode live in person, so there might be a bit of background noise, so do bear with us. Let's hear what everyone thought about the book. The Most Secret Memory of Men.
What a book.
Huh?
I said, what a book.
Okay. I'll start with you then, Taiwo. What do you
I felt that this book is a book that needed to have to read it, I needed to get a certain rhythm going.
Okay.
And once I hit my pace, then I started turning it page after page after page, and still my eyes started becoming heavy, and I fall asleep almost, and then I kind of stand up, and I stand in the corner and hold it to the light and start reading so that I can get through until the tiredness had left me. So it was kind of like a feat of endurance. Some parts were just almost reading themselves, but other parts is just like, this guy's so up himself.
You mean the author?
Yeah. Well, it's just the way he wrote it. But some parts made me laugh out loud. It's just like the part with the C of the TC.
Yeah. Charles
Elistine, who is, Jewish as an afterthought. I just thought that is just so funny. I found it interesting. I found it entertaining. I found it amusing. I found it frustrating. I found it long.
Yes, it is long. It is long.
I finished it and I thought, it's quite a ride.
Okay.
Quite a ride.
What do you think, Annette?
I still haven't finished the book. I'm about 100 pages out, so I'm going to finish that today. It's similar to Tyro. When I read the synopsis, I thought this is definitely something I would enjoy, but it is dragging just a little bit. There's parts where it read really easily, and I was able to just keep turning the pages. And I don't like listening to books unless I really have to. Now it's going to the point where I've had to now listen because I need to just finish it. Yeah, I think it's just a little bit too long. I've gotten to the point also where I'm a bit confused as to who's speaking at this point. And yeah, I don't know who I find arrogant. I guess it's the author because he just wrote it, but some of the characters are as well. So I don't know. It's long, but I'm still willing to finish it off. But I'm not sure now if this is actually for me.
Have you read, what's the book title?
Oh, what's it called? It's the guy who is dedicated to
book to
Yambo.
Yambo Gwalem. God, that is gonna haunt me for the rest of the day now. It's, Bound to Violence.
Yes.
Bound to Violence.
So I bought that book and then I missed, I think we're meant to talk about it, and then I missed it, and then I was like, oh, I'll read it, and I haven't actually read it yet. Okay. So I don't know if I should.
Okay. Have you listened to the podcast?
Yes.
Okay. So I was a bit disappointed, and I'll tell you why I'm disappointed. I thought I was gonna read more. I know it's fiction, but I think I just thought that I was going to discover a bit more about Yambo Gwalem. I agree with you, Annette. It is, and you, Taiwo, it's long. It's really long. I'm like, this should have finished. When I got to about 300 pages, I'm like, this should have finished 200 pages ago. 100%. It is long, and it just drags. And I enjoyed the beginning. I thought the beginning was quite funny. I thought, it was discussing really quite interesting issues. But then when he then started narrating this person's story, that person's story, that person's story, I'm like, do all these people need to have their stories told?
Some of them I didn't really care.
Exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I just thought, I get what you're saying. It's a ride. There's a lot of things that are actually really interesting that he touches upon that merit discussion. But then, I think it's just how he presented it. I think I did wonder whether or not some of it was a translation thing.
I was thinking that as well. If we read it in French, would it even be as, I don't know,
as thick and big as it? Yeah. And then I also did wonder whether some of it should have just been edited out, because I feel like there are bits in here that should not have been included. But anyway, we'll get into that. But there's so many things, as you can see from my marks, that I picked out that actually probably should start off by just saying what the book is about, right?
Yeah, what is it?
Well, this is it. So
literary mystery tour.
So I think, I thought as I said, when I initially heard about this book, I thought he was actually just going to try and tell the story of Yamok Walem, which he does. But
I
it's
thought it was more an homage to him.
yeah, exactly. And it's but as I was about to say, it's actually more than that. He's taken his story and then used it as inspiration for what he's then written. And then he's basically assembled all the characters that he would assume were in Yambo Walem's life and included them in the story.
Okay, I didn't know that.
No, that's my reading of it.
Oh, right. Oh,
It's fact.
It's not fact. It's not fact. That's at least that's my understanding of it, because he goes and speaks to or discovers his half sister or sister, depending on who the father was, and then the journalist, and then he hears about the story of the priestess, and then his parents, goes back to the village. So yeah, all of those things. I think he was just on a journey trying to discover who this guy was.
the voice was so, as Annette said, I just lost the idea of who is speaking. I knew most of the time it's first person, but who that person is, much of the time it seems to move from one person to another. And after a while, I just thought, just read it.
He never explained
Just read
who.
it. Just read it. Sometimes it will then come, even where we are. I wasn't always clear. Suddenly, then I realized, oh, it's Zaire. When I was 3/4 of the way through a section or a book, and then it just said Zaire, and said, oh, so we're in Zaire. I had no idea where we were.
Exactly, and I got to that bit.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you've got to it yet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because Musiba comes back. Well, that's Musiba's section. I don't, if you remember who Musiba was.
Musiba again.
His friend who went back.
Oh, that's his name. I thought that was Sharif.
Sharif?
There was a Sharif
Yeah,
that
there was a
popped up.
Yeah.
Salid, was it Sharif?
Sharif or Sharif. Yeah.
Yeah, there's just so many.
yeah. I can't remember Sharif now. But yeah, Musiba's the one that went back. The one that who's always had deaf characters in his story. The one that won the prize.
Yes, and he said I had it from Congo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, he crops up. How do you pronounce his name, the author or the narrator?
I think Dijan, I think.
Dijan Latife. Anyhow, yeah, so he has this group of writers who are friends with him, and they get together and talk about books and so on. And there's a bit that I found really interesting, which made me think. And then the bit where they were where they first got together to discuss the labyrinth of inhumanity, right? So he goes on to say that after they'd worn themselves out of discussing the book, they kind of started asking themselves he started asking himself whether actually, are they self-indulgent by sitting there discussing books when there are people dying?
Especially Africans.
Exactly. When there are people starving. And that did make me think, like, okay, so we do that quite a lot in the book club.
I mean, life in general, though, I suppose anything could appear as self-indulgent. Do you know what I mean? Like, whether you're sitting here reading a book or you're just having lunch somewhere I don't know. It's
how far do you want to?
How far can you take this?
Yeah.
But they did go on to say,
At least they're conscious.
Then who,
Yeah.
if not people that love and breathe and would die for literature and for writing.
And who would sit down and, readers like us.
So in short, anyone that is committed to
The
written
arts,
word,
would do it.
So,
So I found that quite interesting. And I mean, he does have moments like that where he raises quite a few things that actually don't normally think about.
Yeah. There's a part where he goes up. The truth, dear Gan, is that only a mediocre or bad or ordinary book is about something.
Oh yes, that is
A great book has no subject and isn't about anything.
Yes.
It only tries to say or discover something, but that only is already everything, and that something is also already everything. And I've read this like 6, 7, 8 times. I still can't understand. This is so. Is it just pretentious, or is this so what? I just can't understand it.
But then also it did make me think, because there's a review here that says this is a love letter to literature, and also that it's a writer's book. So it did make me think, who actually is he writing this for? And the author himself, is this because it's a dedication to another author that he's discussing these issues? because that to me seems to me like someone who's analyzing the whole, which I guess he's doing in most of the book, the whole art of writing and producing literature.
But through these characters, because in the context, they're having this literary-like debate, discussion, going down this wormhole or rabbit hole of what is literature and what is its purpose.
Yeah.
And does it serve any real purpose? Does it bring real solutions to the world?
Yeah.
Or is it just pretension?
And does literature bring any real solutions to the world? It brings pleasure, but what is the point of literature? It did get me thinking about that. What is the point of literature?
Isn't it the same as being literate? The fact that you can read, you can share ideas, you can disseminate information.
Can you not do that without literature?
Isn't that part of literature? The sharing of information, the dissemination.
Maybe it's less, I mean, nothing is permanent, but maybe less permanent if you do it about literature. If you just do it orally, it could be just forgotten tomorrow. It won't really be there on record.
I guess what I'm saying when I mean literature is like fiction, novels, and stories. Whereas you can still impart information if you write it down in a book. It doesn't have to be in story format. For example, we have a lot of non-fiction text where you can use to impart that knowledge. But what I was thinking, what other than entertainment, what role does actually literature play in life or in our lives?
Isn't that part of humanity, though? The fact that we have history. Isn't that part of being a human, the human condition, that we always told stories? The African sitting under a tree, you've got your children around and he's narrating or she is narrating the history of her or his people. The story enables the dissemination of the information and for it to be passed from one generation to another, as well as entertain.
Okay. So although it's fiction, it can still be used as a way to impart information and to spread knowledge and information.
Yeah, there's still always something to learn within it.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I mean, I quite like it, just for the sake of entertainment and as a way to escape. And interestingly enough, I was reading an article about people who collect books, and the article said that actually, if you have a lot of books on your bookshelf that's not read, you shouldn't see that as a failing.
I don't.
Oh, good. You shouldn't see that as a failing because it shows that you're on a quest to gain knowledge, and it shows that you as a person are a better off person because you know that you don't know everything that there is out there. So you're still continuously on this quest to get knowledge, and that's why we all have all these books on our shelves that we hope that we're going to get to at some point. But the one thing that I found quite a bit sad, I guess, is that it said that if from the age of 10 you read a book every day, you could only ever read about 25,000 books
in your life
until you get to 80. Yeah.
Oh.
In your life.
Your whole life.
Yeah. And it's like, damn. From the age of 10, a book a day, and that's all you read.
You read a book a day.
Well, some people do. Some people read like 300 books a year.
How?
Some people read a lot more than that. Some people read 500 books a year. I just like...
I read a book in a week. I think I'm doing well.
Well, exactly, same here.
So...
Coming back to the Most Secret Memory of Men. So, we have... How do you pronounce his name again?
Dijan. Based on what I've heard on the Dijan.
Dijan.
Yeah.
He's living. Who is basically protagonist? He's the one that's telling the story. So it's written from his perspective. So he's living in France. He's grown up in Senegal, and then from Senegal he's left to go to France to continue with his studies, and then he's become a writer whilst he's there. And now he has these phone calls with his parents, and they get rarer and rarer. After discovering this book, he decided to call home one day, and I just found the conversation that he had with his parents really funny. And then he's writing in his diary. His mother only thinks that he phoned because something's wrong, and his mom just can't understand that he's just called to say hi and just to catch up. And then the way he was describing how the parents hold the phone, so you come and see half the page.
Yeah. That's just
half the page of
standard.
half the page of each parent. And it just really got me thinking about how when we leave home and we leave parents, and especially elderly parents, we kind of migrate and we move, and then we adopt new identities, and because we're trying to fit into the world that we move to, we try and adapt to the new culture, new identity, and then we forget where we've come from and the people that we've left behind. And it just really got me thinking about that clash of culture, because he doesn't want to go home. He feels guilty about not going home, but at the same time he doesn't really want to go home because I feel that he doesn't think that he fits in there anymore. And that kind of got me thinking about migrant life and what we lose when we leave our homes and come.
We gain from leaving our homes.
What do we gain?
A new identity.
But is that a good or a bad thing?
Depends who you were before and who you become, I guess.
Okay, so for him then, what has he become?
Stranger to his relatives.
Does he know himself though?
Sorry, what's the question?
Does he know himself? Sarah just said he's become a stranger to his relatives. But isn't he also a stranger to himself? Does he know who he is?
He's reinventing himself.
Yeah.
But if he's running away from something, maybe that's why he doesn't want to go back. I would have thought that going back, without that whole idea of going back to show off, another big guy from Paris. Mm-hmm. But you go back to show who you have become and to remind yourself maybe who you were. Mm-hmm. Because, the people that you've left behind, some would have changed. Obviously, well, everyone's changed because they're all older anyway. Mm-hmm. But some would have left where you came from originally. And so it can remind you of maybe how you used to be, how you used to think.
About your culture and about what you've left behind and whether or not you should be adopting this new culture, which brings me to what Stanislav says. So they're talking about African writers and being in the West and being offered prizes. And Stanislav, his flatmate, actually advises him. Actually, he tells them that whatever it is that you feel you're writing for, the French will never accept you, the West will never accept you. They may give you accolades, they may give you prizes, but at the end of the day, you never ever fit in. And so it got me thinking then that, well, when African writers write, should we be writing for the approval of the nations, the new nations we've adopted? Should we be writing for the nations that we've left? Or is there you should just write for yourself, as Dujani says?
I would have thought you're writing to be published.
Yeah.
Because if you write for yourself, it's almost like a self-indulgence. Unless it's like a diary that you're going to keep to yourself or a journal that you're not going to show anyone. I would have thought you're writing to be published. You want people to read what you have written. And so therefore you're going to bend what you write in order to get published, whether it's back there or here where you are now. You have to compromise to an extent to be published, don't you?
So does what you write then depend on where you want to be published?
But I would have thought you want to be published, period, not where you want to be published. You simply want to be published. And in the West or in the global North, it can be easier to be published because the infrastructure is there, unlike in the global South where publishing industry isn't always as well developed. The readership is vast, but the publishing industry is just immature.
But if you get published in the global majority, as I like to call it nowadays,
South.
In the global South, fine. If you get published there with a publishing house there, do you get the same publicity? Do you get the same accolades? Do you get the same prizes as someone who aims to get published in the West?
Does it depend on the publisher?
Does it?
Maybe. And just how good you are. I'm not saying probably overall no, but if you're that good, whatever that may be, then possibly. But also I was just thinking it is French-speaking country, but it is France. Like, I don't know, he's not gone somewhere totally removed from where he was from. Like, if he left Senegal and went to Ireland, then yeah, it's quite different.
Are you saying that as regards the colonial connection between you?
Yeah, it's not complete. I mean,
but then do the French see him that way though? Do the French see him as part of France? Because I'm not sure that
I'm not sure they do, but I'm just saying it's not so far. I wouldn't say so far removed from where he's come from. Whether they see him as French or not, I don't know. But it's not a completely different world.
I don't know. I just think that as a industry, if you write and your book gets picked up by publishers in the West, you have much more chance of making a lot more money than if your book was, for example, published by a small publishing house. And they tend to be small publishing house, unless they also have a sister company here who then market and sell your book. And then somehow you get onto one of the list of prizes. I think that if you publish on the continent, unfortunately, your chances are slimmer than someone who gets published in the West. But at the same time, I don't think that writers should be restricting themselves to write just because they want to be published.
But then if that's what
you write from the heart,
you write from the heart, but at the same time, that's what you want to do with your life. How are you going to make money? Like, you have, I think I agree with Tyro, like, you have to compromise a little bit somewhere. Yes, right from the heart. But then that's just like a romanticized way of seeing things. Like, I'm going to make music. Where's the money? Like, I'm sorry, eventually you have to make a hit. Yeah. So you have to be pragmatic. Like,
if you're writing just to make money.
No, I'm not saying that.
The writing to be published.
Yeah, but you can be published and not make a lot of money. There are lots of writers who have been published.
I'm sorry for you. It just didn't work out.
There are lots of writers who have been published. There are lots of writers who self-publish who don't make very much money. I mean, even we have an example in
the being published.
It didn't sound like it was a very yeah.
But most writers, I would have
want to be published. At least want to be published. You can say I've been published. Yeah. If you didn't make it, at least you tried. But you can't. That's the main thing. But if you're going to say I'm just going to write from the heart and it's just not good, then that should not be your aim. so that's been really hard. It should just be a side, like a little side thing. Yeah. That's it.
But I feel that there are a lot of people out there who write really well.
Yeah.
And they just never get published because either they're afraid to put it out there, or because they just never ever find the editor who's willing to take them on, the publisher who's willing to take them on. So there are a lot of people out there who have the calling to write.
Yeah.
And it's just the ones that are lucky enough to find that person.
But isn't that the way that the world is?
Yeah.
I mean, basically what you're saying is life isn't fair, but
it's not.
Life has always been unfair.
Yeah.
There's nothing new.
There's always going to be people better than others.
In the literary world or the publishing industry, when it's not everywhere else in the world. Mm-hmm. It's not fair. Women don't get paid the same as men, even they're doing exactly the same job, even if the woman is more capable than the man, and has shown it time and time again. Life isn't fair. Mm. If you're to ask someone, should you be published and not make any money, or not be published, or maybe be published by a small independent publisher and make a shitload of money, what would you rather have? Or rather, no, let me rephrase that question. Would you rather get lots of literary prizes and accolades and not make money? Or would you rather make money through a small imprint? Many people would say, I'd rather just make money rather than get all these prizes, I
guess it depends on you as a writer, because I'm pretty sure there are writers that they would die for their craft.
Yes.
Would rather win the prizes and be recognized as writers than make a lot of money. Because I think I hear a lot of writers saying that for them writing is appalling and the craft is what they want to master.
As in they have to write, they're compelled to write.
Yeah, rather than, just writing to make money.
So even if no one read what they wrote, they'd still write it nonetheless.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And then I was thinking that's fine too.
Yeah. Fair enough.
So many bad books we have read that have made it onto TV.
Bad in quotes.
They are bad.
But they still got published.
And they still got published. And it doesn't make sense.
It really does make you wonder sometimes who makes these decisions about what should be published. But anyway, we'll move on from there. So and I'm kind of jumping with these questions like the book jumps around because the book is not in a linear format. Actually, coming on to that. How did that affect your enjoyment of the book? The fact that it just wasn't linear.
I just gave up. Like you said, Tara, just reads. At this point, I just read it because I didn't even know. Somehow I was Zaire. Maybe I haven't got Zaire. I don't know. But I just it was irritating me, but I got to a point. I said, "There's nothing I can do. This is how the book is," and I just had to keep reading. It's frustrating, but
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely no difference, because either you go against the current or you go with the current. I was just flowing along with the current. Wherever it takes me is where I'm going.
Yeah.
Just keep on reading, and maybe after a while it will make a bit more sense. But if it doesn't, just keep on reading anyway.
it's too big for me to even try and go. Sometimes if the book is smaller, I would have gone back to try and like link things up. Or who was that and who's that again? But if I'm ready this deep and I don't know what's happening and I have to flick through here,
You wouldn't be able to find where you
find out what's
were
going on.
unless you're actually making notes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that as well. I just found it frustrating that he jumped from here to there, from this person to that person, and then he never really explained who was speaking, because sometimes you had Sigurd.
Sigurd. The whole bit about her father. Was that Sigurd or was that Dejian?
It was
Speaking about
it was Sigurd.
It was Sigurd
telling
her
him
hearing what her father said to her.
Yeah. So it's
Wasn't
like
he there? I thought confused.
no,
His father not there.
No,
lying there.
Dishan was imagining that the father was there, lying there.
Oh my God. Okay.
Because at the end, he kind of fades away.
Then you
So
face
was he really
was
there?
he there? So I was thinking, why is she rehashing this to you if you were in the room? But he was imagining.
Yeah, he was hearing the story, and then he imagined him be there. So it was like a third
It's like a story within a story.
story within a story.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyhow, Sigurd's father is a twin. His twin brother goes off to France and never comes back, but leaves behind a pregnant wife who then has a son who then turns out to be the main character in the book, T.C. Eliman. Now, before he goes off to France, no, after he goes off to, is it before after he goes? See, I'm confused.
Because you never heard from him again.
Yeah.
Oh, you mean Eleman?
No, Asani
Oh, then before.
never comes back. He basically becomes French. He
tries to become French.
he tries to become French. Now, I know there was a lot of resistance when colonialists arrived. When parents were deciding who to send to their, because they tried to force people to send children to school.
Yes.
And when parents were trying to decide who to send to school, they always chose the ones that were not necessarily the brightest.
Yes. The disposable child.
Uh-huh. And I'm wondering whether or not that kind of played against us.
Why? I don't understand why that would be, that they would pick the one that's not.
Because they didn't value a Western education.
They look down upon the white.
Yeah, they didn't value Western education,
Okay,
so they
like
say it's just a waste of time.
Okay.
The more able child should stay at home and learn our local ways and help with the farm and whatever. And yeah, so that kind of, that's what I'm saying. So I guess the question is, did that work against us in the fact that we left our brightest behind? And if we'd educated our brightest, maybe things would have turned out better?
But it's only in the beginning, though, because you're talking about at the in the early days when the white man came to the African continent. Over time, it's like everybody is getting educated, isn't it? Over time, it's not just the.
But the value, the type of education was then different, wasn't it? Because they were just then being educated to serve the colonial masters. They were not really being educated. They were just being sent to learn how to read and write and do the basic stuff that the colonialists wanted them to do.
Well, yes and no, because I mean, the bright ones would still go to the colonial motherland, wouldn't they? The metropole or whatever you want to call it, to learn more. So in this case, when someone is going to France or going, to the UK or wherever and getting their degree, maybe even a master's, maybe even a PhD, you're still going deeper into the white man's educational system, aren't you? So it's not just we want you to learn the basics in order that you can facilitate our removal of all your resources, including human resources from your colonies. It becomes more where, because it's in the 60s, wasn't it? In the 1960s, that whole wind of change sweeping across Africa and all the rest, where the people that were leading for the charge for independence of the African nations were mainly people that had studied abroad. So it's not, it's moved away from that whole idea of we're limiting your education so that you just facilitate the removal of all resources from the global south or the global north. It's just people are, they're broadening their minds. They're seeing all kinds of political ways of thinking, different philosophies and religions and all the rest. It becomes more broad.
I still want to posit that the people that went abroad and came back, they still brought Western ways and Western ways of thinking. They were not really looking at what works best and best for Africa. They wanted independence, right? But with that independence, they also wanted democracy and the Western way of governing, which is, in my view, not necessarily the best thing for us.
I wouldn't say that all of them necessarily had that, though. I mean, you can't really leave your own country and come to the global north and return back to the global south unchanged. Surely you're going to...
Waste of time.
Yeah, surely you're going to have different ideas than when you... Even if you decide, the white man's way is best, that's down to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you study the white man's ways, it doesn't mean that you have to, therefore, adopt his ways. The foundation was still that you were born and raised before you then left to the white man's land in the black man's country, Asia, Africa, Latin America, wherever. So if you want, you can still come back and say, well, let's adjust our ways to the modern world. The world is changing.
Some of them did. The likes of Thomas Sankara, so when they came back, they wanted things to be done the African way, and also not necessarily, or some of them wanted socialism, which obviously was completely against what the US and the rest of the global north wanted. So T.C. Elemain writes this book, The Labyrinth of Inhumanity. He's a black man. He's gone to Paris to study. He wants to be a writer. He drops out of school, then decides to start writing. And then he publishes this book, and then it's just completely taken everybody by surprise. Some people don't believe that he's a black person that wrote it. He doesn't reveal himself. Nobody, apart from his publishers, no one actually knows who he is. No one has seen him. So there's this whole mystery around the book, first of all, because of that. But then secondly, the book is so great, people don't think that it's written by a black person, because, a black person can't write that well. And then thirdly, the book has taken from a lot of different sources and has been put together in a really clever way. And so he's accused of plagiarism, which is basically what happened to Mbougar Sarr. Mm-hmm. And so what I wanted to ask is that if that book had been written by a white person, would it have received the same reception? Would it have had the same reception? And was the attitude against it really just because the guy was black and African?
Spit it out, Annette.
I think, yes, and kind of still, yes, but also, so I think my issue is when reading, when you got to Therese and his name is Charles.
Yeah.
I think when they kept telling him, okay, you really need to at least do some citing. And he was like, I'm not going to cite anything. Part of me was like, well, then this is not very good. It's not very wise. I don't know to what extent it was played. I don't know. The book isn't. I haven't read the book because the book is within this. But I just feel like if you are going to take from something, you do need to cite it. I do agree if there wasn't a white author, I don't think it would have been that much as a furore. Mm-hmm. But if you've done something wrong.
But had you done something wrong though?
But are you not meant to? Are you not meant to say where you got something from? If you literally pulled actual texts and put it into the book, if I'm writing a dissertation, I need to cite where I got it from.
Okay.
I don't think you can do. Can you do that? You can't do that.
Tayo?
If you're writing a dissertation, it's normally for an academic reason.
Okay, yeah. But still, if I'm the author and I'm reading a book and I just see my words in someone else's book, you didn't ask me. It's just like music. You can't sample my song and not ask permission.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I mean, this part where it says, Abita Lamuel, who was one of the reviewers, laments that readers didn't understand that Elemain was praying with his references more than he was plagiarizing me, given that the rewritings were too obvious not to have the liquor.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So basically what he's saying is that actually, so Elemain has an issue because he doesn't feel that people are reading the book correctly and they're not understanding what he's trying to do. That's his big issue, and that's what really upsets him. And in a way, I feel that he has a point. That's like when you watch films like scary movie. Come on, scary movies just
We're just lampooning so many different genres and so many different movie tropes. It's just taking the piss out of things.
Which is what I think
But
actually.
it's so over the top, but you can't not see that it's just taking the piss out
Which
of things.
is what this book is described as.
So therefore he's thinking, why do I need to source?
Explain.
Why do I need to reference? It kind of takes the punchline out of the joke.
I get that, but then then for me, at some point, I just have to come out and say something, and he didn't still. So I don't know if. Why do I feel like I'm defending the white people? I'm not defending them. I'm not.
But maybe that's the strength of it, the fact that he consistently remains silent and remains hidden.
Yeah, and that's part of the mystery of the book, though. That's also what keeps it in the press, in the.
He didn't even want to write a foreword or anything at the beginning to try and explain what he's tried to do. I didn't even say they should do that. He's like, I'm not going to try to
I'm not going to defend myself. Defend the book. Make of it as you wish.
Yeah, and then that's what he's saying. And in a way, I mean, I understand where it's coming from. I mean, if you've written something, you don't have to explain it.
But is it the time? If you did that now, do you think people might get it more?
Well, this is it. That's one of the. That's what one of the.
Whenever it was.
One of the. Is it Leon Berkov says that his race is at the heart of the scandal. Mr. Ellerman arrived too early in an era that's not yet ready to see blacks excel in all domains, including art. Perhaps the time will come one day. Who's to say? But for now, Mr. Ellerman must act as a great forerunner and an example. He must show himself and speak up. And prove to all racists that a N-word can be a great writer.
Which doesn't prove anything. I think the best thing that he did was to just withdraw and remain silent, refuse to defend it, because had he come and address what that particular critic was saying, he wouldn't have sold anything.
No, I don't think so.
But then I'll just be thinking about the collateral damage.
You mean the fact that the small publisher went bankrupt because they got sued left, right and centre?
Yeah. Should I care about them? I don't know. I know now I'm like, the way you said it, Tari, makes me think I shouldn't care about them. You didn't care.
But this is the thing, though. Do you feel that they took advantage of him?
Yeah.
Who?
The publishers.
A little bit.
Yeah? How? Why?
What they were kind of very close, weren't they?
Very close, yeah.
A proper threesome.
literal threesome.
But also the is it Bridget?
She the journalist. That's it.
That's a question. In the end, she ends up questioning their story and their side of things. Because she, in the end, doesn't actually believe that she's been told the truth by Therese.
And did she even? Was it her who thought that Therese wrote that letter? She said,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
But then Charles is not in the picture, is he? By then.
Yeah. He's
so it's only one side of the story.
Yeah. Yeah. So Charles is gone. But yeah. So that was quite
interesting.
It is an interesting dilemma. But I agree. I don't think that he necessarily should have explained himself. And also, I do feel that the publishers did take a bit of advantage of him. Definitely.
But when you said taking advantage of him, how? I mean, he wanted to be published.
Yes.
He knew what he was doing. He's very well read. How did they take advantage of him?
Well, come on. First of all, they took him under their wing. Introduced him to all.
Because they recognized the talent that was within.
But the other
they
talent.
That talent, didn't they?
But
They helped bring that talent.
yeah.
Did they though? Did they though? Would he have been published anyway without them?
Well, maybe some other publisher would have published him anyway. But would you then say that the other publisher took advantage because they published him?
No, for me, I feel like the relationship was way too close and it was too blurred.
Yeah.
Between him and the publishers.
Just keep it strictly professional. You then took him to party and then it just went in a different direction. It didn't,
I didn't really see him kind of either complaining or saying, no, I don't, I want our relationship to be purely on a business.
But then we never hear his voice. That's the other thing. He's a very silent person. He appears constantly in the book, but we really rarely hear his voice. Do we? So we never really we hear about what everybody else says about him.
But isn't that part of the mystique? The fact that he doesn't really talk much.
Yeah, but and this is what I'm saying is, so we really don't know whether or not what the publishers are saying is necessarily fact, which is what Bridget, the journalist, in the end is actually questioning.
Or having to kind of counter-check your sources to know whether the source is valid or not.
Yeah.
But the fact that he calls himself TC, Therese Charles Element, isn't that kind of...
Again, this is from their perspective. How do we know that they didn't ask him?
Oh, you don't put a gun to his head and be like, you need to add the TC to the. They make it seem like he was so thankful, so grateful. I'm gonna put both your initials on the front of
He's discovered by them.
Yeah. So yeah,
you could just put a little acknowledgement in the book. We don't even have to do that.
Three sides to the story: your side, my side, and then the truth.
Oh, we never know the truth, really, do we?
No, that's what he looks like.
The author.
Yeah. So
why
young.
did you have?
Why
He's quite young.
Young
Yeah,
guy.
Very young.
Yeah.
He's quite young.
We haven't got anything here.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's
Fact that they didn't try.
Yeah. He's written, I think, 3 other books. So, Dijan is a writer living in Paris. He has his meetings with other writers, and they have all-nighter sessions talking about books and having sex.
How's he doing in the literary world?
God.
You know what?
It was too incestuous.
The literary world is actually quite incestuous. I went to a literature festival once. I was like, oh my God, is this what you guys get up to?
What?
Yeah.
Everyone's speaking with everyone else.
Oh my God.
I mean, we're like jumping in and out of relationships with
Wow.
other people.
So I wonder whether the Bloomsbury set, whether it was like that back in the day with all them then as well.
Possibly.
Get awkward. You go to another event and they're your ex and other exes just right there.
Oh, let's just say at the event that I went to, it was like a free thing going on. So one of the authors was dating another author, but his ex, who he had dumped for this new author, was also there.
Oh.
So the ex was then telling everybody to hate on the other.
Wow.
To hate on the other one because, not to clap when she said something. Because he dumped her for him. Yeah, it was all I'm like, oh my God. The novel explores the impact of literature on the personal and collective memory. And how do you think his quest to uncover the truth about T.C. Element reflects the broader relationship between literature and cultural identity? Because why is he looking for T.C. Element?
I don't know if initially he just saw him as someone I don't know. I guess the book, he was so taken by the book, but I don't know if it's also someone that idolized is too strong a word, but someone he sort of looked up to, same country as him. How big he became from that one book at a time when it wasn't that very common at all to have like a African writer. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was that initially, but
I think part of it is also the mystery, the fact that nobody knows what happened to this writer. Did he write other books? Where did he go? I think that's part of it, but I think also part of it is that he's written this absolutely great book, which everybody who reads it absolutely falls in love with it, and is so enthralled that someone can write such a book. And so I think, and he himself is kind of like a struggling writer.
Yeah.
I think because he's struggling and he's not really sure what to write next with his books, I think he's trying to find something to do. And so that's what sends him on a search.
And then to keep himself busy.
Yeah. I think
could have been
parts of it.
Writing another thing, yeah.
I think that's, well, at least I think that's part of it.
While he's waiting for inspiration then.
Yeah.
So he's got almost like a writer's block.
Yeah.
So he's thinking this will unblock it.
Right.
But does he know whether T.C. Element is alive or dead?
No, because no one knows at this point. So he just goes, his quest is to try and find out what happened to him.
Yeah.
And whether he did write other books and is he still alive and so on.
And also, I guess, because people, when they read the book, they never seem to read it once. It's so impactful that they have to be reading it
again and again. Yeah.
So I guess if he's able to find the author, who is very elusive and has become this almost living myth, it will put the book in a new context when he's rereading it.
Yeah.
When he's actually met the author, if he's able to meet the author.
But interestingly, Sigati doesn't want to meet him. She doesn't even want to find him towards the end.
Okay, is that because she feels that will spoil the illusion of the myth?
I think that's part of what she said. Yeah,
Right, never meet.
her quest is not to meet him or even find out anything about him. She's got everything that she needs to know from reading the book. But it did make me wonder, how big was this book if they could sit down and read it in 3 hours?
Or maybe they're fast readings.
I thought it might have just been a really short book.
Yeah, I was thinking that because also, I mean, just there's
They read it in that whole session, didn't they?
3 hours, yeah, sat down 3 hours and just read it all
Read it
together.
out.
Yeah.
And then also he typed it out for his friend to go back with to the Congo. So I'm like, couldn't have been that huge a book. But then it's amazing what an impact it actually had. So do you think that he says anything about the impact of literature on personal and collective memory?
You said personal or collective memory. Or as in how we remember.
How we remember things, just as people, but also as individuals. Does literature have any impact on that?
No, because I mean, in some ways you could say literature is storytelling.
Mm-hmm. It is.
And if it's, as you said earlier, as Annette said, if it's oral, then the story can morph and change and transform all the time, which can be good, but also can be bad. But when it's written, as in literature, I guess it's the written word, then it's usually more, whereas that's likely to change, isn't it? Because the record is more firm. It's more definite.
And then in terms of then of collective, of memory and collective memory, because I think other individual, I just read something and have one view of it. But then if, I guess we have other sources where the work has been critiqued, you kind of build like a perception of what society thought around the time about whatever that story is or whoever that person is. Because it is the person who tells the story who in the end, or whose story is told, who is in the end remembered. Whereas
Once the story is kind of out there, then over time, I mean, like nowadays, you could say that a lot of people, I mean, the next book we're going to read is an African history of Africa. So people are writing histories from their own perspective.
yeah,
It's the thing that Carl was saying last time when we met, when he was talking about a history of the UK through the Caribbean or something like that. I can't remember the title of the book. But it's if people from the African diaspora
yeah,
are giving their own views of the colonial or the history of the global north from their perspective. So time is changing who the storyteller is. It's changing. That's what I'm trying to say, not very clear way.
okay,
Which is why in some ways you see literature is almost sacred, isn't it?
yeah,
And so, during the whole thing of the Holocaust and Nazi book burnings, it was like, it's something that many people would say, oh, this is a great sin where you're burning books, because books are treasured and a source of treasure and a source of history and accuracy and a record. So to burn a book is just like this great sin. Or to burn particularly specific books, you're trying to wipe out the memory or remove the collective.
which is what's happening now with all the book bannings in the US, and also is coming here now where some books are being banned.
Which books?
LGBT.
Anything to do with race and what they classify as critical race theory.
In the UK.
Mainly in America, but I know that I've read that here, libraries and universities are being asked to take some books off the curriculum.
It's also like control, isn't it? As if to say you want to not just censor, but you want to limit knowledge, which still finds a way. It's like water; it still finds a way. So if you say, okay, no, we're not going to allow our children to have any sex education, lest they understand that there are such things as people being same-sex attracted or people wanting to change their gender or sex or whatever. We don't want them to be upset. These kids, they then find the idea of sexual relations through porn or through their peers. So who do you want to educate people that are almost empty vessels? Who do you want? Would you rather a teacher taught them that there are other ways of thinking? Doesn't mean that the teacher is encouraging them to pursue that other way.
Some people think that the teacher, by being open and honest about the various ways is actually introducing a child to something that they may not have been aware of and explored. And they believe that it's the role of the parent, to introduce that education to the child rather than school or the teacher.
I feel like whatever you don't like, you'll think that. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
Yeah, your parent doesn't know.
Yeah. Oh, they'll just.
Or doesn't have the time.
Don't have the time.
Or is embarrassed.
Just inform you of something completely
inaccurate.
Completely inaccurate. Yeah. So, or just their own views on something. So rather than,
Seems to be lots of advantages in letting the child make his or her own mind about certain things, but giving them the information.
Yeah.
But armed and aware of the world. The world is complex.
Yeah, I get that. But in a world where truth is constantly changing.
Can truth change?
well, this is it. In fact, Elon Musk recently said that the truth is going to be rewritten, isn't it?
Truth or idea?
Or knowledge. The whole knowledge is going to be rewritten.
Which is why the whole idea of
in 1984.
Came in, isn't it?
Yeah.
The moon landings never happened. Alternative facts, Yeah. Just because you don't like certain things.
Yes.
And in a world where you have the tech where it's controlling the world, that is more and more going to happen now, where
knowledge is
actually the truth is being challenged, and most people because most people don't actually question things or don't read like they should. For them, that's the truth. If someone starts challenging what is actually the truth, they may believe that actually the establishment is trying to hoodwink us by telling us this when actually it's not true. So they question things that are actually facts.
Which is when they start saying that truth is subjective. I don't think it is.
Truth is never subjective. Yeah, either something is or it's not.
Yes, I feel that we shouldn't be afraid.
The issue of they destroyed all of his books anyway. But what was the issue with, was it one of the tribes or something? And
was that the reviewer?
Is it the reviewer that said that one of the tribes that was in his book was not from Senegal?
No, the reviewer said that he'd based his story. He's stolen the story from one of the tribes in Senegal.
Okay.
But actually, that tribe was never in Senegal. It was somewhere completely different. And then it turns out that actually the reviewer had never actually even been.
Even stuff like that, I would have come out and said something. But also, if I have to just keep quiet,
you have to hold your silence.
To hold your silence.
Despite provocation, hold your silence.
Yeah.
Let someone else raise it, and someone else did. But the thing is that once the so-called alternative fact had been made, the rebuttal is kind of just in the noise.
Yeah. But what do you think of the idea that all these critics died?
Oh, and he became a sort of serial killer. Cat came out. I was like, what? That took another turn. It was just everyone's dropping.
I just get you sitting in the astral plane, doing some kind of mystical,
so strange,
causing them to kill themselves. That'll teach them. Yeah, that's how it should go.
Yeah, I really had to suspend my disbelief to be able to understand that and to accept that. I mean, okay, fine. He comes from a line of seers, and
it made him seem like someone that's not real. I imagine some guy floating around, just like
all these young
people. And then Denise as well. But then I thought of Denise. That's her name, right? The dancer,
Denise,
right?
Yeah.
But that guy, was that guy him? So then he.
I didn't know who that guy was.
That was him. He killed her. They became a serial killer midway through.
In the war.
Yeah.
Rather than watching the go-go girls dancing on the stage.
That was him. Yeah. Because remember, he said he had one last killing to do. And
who was that killing meant to do? Oh, yes.
Bridget was the last killing.
The journal?
Did she die? She did die, but how did she?
Heart attack.
Oh, isn't that natural cause?
Well,
alternative fact.
Yeah, so for me, just like, I don't know.
Yeah, that was weird.
Work in a film.
I don't know, but then I don't know what kind of film that would be, because it could work in a film, but even if I was watching this film, for that to happen in the middle, I'd be like, what the hell is going on? How did this come into the middle of the film? And then we go back. I don't know. It would have to just be straight up thriller or something.
You don't like films. You don't like films.
I know.
Suspend your disbelief.
No.
Just go with it.
It's a confusing film, though. It would be a very confusing film.
And also, yes, he came from a family of exhibitions,
Yes.
but he wasn't even fully educated in that way. You know, he kind of followed in his dad's.
It's in his blood.
Okay, fine. And the DNA is in the blood, so he can do it even though he hasn't even been back since he was, 20 or something?
Yeah.
Huh.
So do you think about the female characters then? So we have Ida. Is
Who's Ida?
Ida?
Girlfriend.
Jan's wife or girlfriend who goes up to...
Yes, I was spelling it IDA in my head. Is that AID? Yeah, Ida.
So you have Ida, and then you have Sigurdi. Sigurdi is a really interesting character, I found. Most of the story is told through her.
Yeah.
I thought she was a really fascinating character. What did you guys make of the portrayal of women?
I found that much of the time they seem to be secondary rather than, main characters.
Quite sexualized as the wives.
Yeah, that's very true.
The 3 wives, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So there was them. There was Musame who went mad.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Sitting under the mango tree.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then the poetess.
I didn't care for her.
No,
No.
why?
I didn't mind her popping up within the context of what Sigurdi was trying to explain. But then did she not have her own story?
She does.
I don't know. That was so for me. That was a part where it really
Was unnecessary.
it was unnecessary. It was. I was confused. Yeah, but then I realized it was her, and I just thought, why? I don't know.
I guess he was kind of like laying the scene of his life in South America. Telling us
Element's life.
Yeah, what Element did in South America.
Oh, because she met him. That's where
She
I
had an
think.
affair with
She
this
had an affair.
poetess.
I'm so
I thought that something was going.
Something was
Yeah.
something's her. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, she had with him and his friends. His
And
two
this,
friends.
oh yes, that's where. But this is where. So but then it keeps jumping between her and back to Dejan.
Yeah.
And so that's when because I was reading on Paul. Oh no, Dejan's not having an affair with him. That's how confused I've gotten.
It's almost like bread and butter and water,
What, having affairs?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone just having affairs. And literally just like, will you sleep with me? Yes.
Yeah.
Like there's no kind of hard to get. It's just immediately. There's no understanding.
Limited emotional involvement.
Yeah.
Right? We've eaten, we've had some nice wine.
Yeah.
All that's left is for us to
For like 2 days straight. Literally after 3 days we emerged. It's just
they're human condition. That's all we have to do. And then, I love you, but I don't love you.
Yeah.
They kind of
Very fluid.
yeah.
But isn't that what society is supposed to be like? Are we not? Think about it. Think about it.
or the great hungers of men. Food, water, sex.
Are we not restricted in the way that we live our lives?
It's like taking up so much time. Literally, some of that I was like, wow, you had nothing to do. Are you not working? That's what I was thinking. Some of these, especially him and Ida, and I just thought.
And then they were apart for 1 year, wasn't it?
Okay,
Yeah.
fair enough. They
And
have
then
to make up for the year. They
big
did.
time,
Okay,
yeah.
fine. Yeah.
And then after a while, it's like she cuts off from him or he cuts off from her. I love you, but this is going to go nowhere.
Even though he was so depressed that she left him initially. I was just.
Look after me, don't look for me, don't send any messages and all the rest.
But now we're back together again until we're not.
Yeah. And what do you think about the introduction then of Senegalese politics in the story? Now that one I'm just like, this just should not have come in. This was so unnecessary.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, was this the
Senegalese politics, yeah.
Yeah.
And the uprisings that
Thinking of that Bobby Wine and, that whole kind of youth uprising, that's what I kept thinking about, and how
the old guard, the old politicians would they want to use the energy of the youth, but they want to direct it in the way that they want to direct it. But it's normally against them. It's trying to get them out, but they're not going to leave power. Power is too sweet. So they want to therefore use the military or something to either contain or suppress them.
that particular element of the story, was it necessary in this book?
Because he wanted to take the story to Senegal.
Could have just gone to see your parents.
He could have gone to Senegal and gone to look for TC Remain without
Without all of that bit. There's so many Senegalese. There's so many reasons you could have gone to Senegal than just for that bit.
The politics.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So I didn't think that was necessary at all. Anyhow, I want to go back to Sigurdi. First, when they're meeting, how they first met.
How did they?
I was on
In the cafe. She was in the cafe.
Oh, you said it was a cliche. Yes.
He was in a cafe and
Oh dear.
I remember now. Older, isn't she?
Yeah,
She's
she is,
older.
yeah.
Okay. I was thinking that she was someone else, Sigurd.
Spider Mother. So he called her Spider Mother, doesn't
Yeah,
he? Yeah.
Spider-
Because I think he's old enough. She's old enough to be his mother.
And then he's kind of paralyzed because he thinks
Yeah.
she's so experienced, she's so worldly. Whatever I do will not be inventive or interesting enough for
Yeah.
He's in the lift. He didn't want to go out. He didn't want to go out. He got too scared.
Yeah. But he then does eventually.
But she's lived a very interesting life. Yeah, she's brought up by, as you said earlier on, by her 3 mothers. Her father doesn't really like her or doesn't love her, and she's just always craved for his love. But he can't love
But that's
her.
because he's seen.
He's seen who she's going to become. Yeah, yeah. And she's going to go to the land of white people and then write things that are not necessarily flattering. And yeah.
Erotic fiction.
And then so because of that he can't get close to her. So anyway, Siga D. I always found that name funny. Every time I read it, like Siga D.
It's not the full name; it's an abbreviation.
And she's Mariam Siga.
Okay.
I didn't know I can't remember where the D comes from.
All these letters are popping up, and I really thought TCNMN was something, but it was just Teresa and Charles. So I was really underwhelmed when I saw that bit. I was like, oh, okay, that's what it stood for.
Yeah.
That kind of pseudonym.
Yeah.
Why the authors have pseudonym? We
I
see
think-
teaching writing as whoever, but you've already made your name as Stephen King, so why do you need to write under any other name? Really?
Because they want to write something different. Remember, like J.K. Rowling wrote another book and something because
Which is also successful.
she's known for Harry Potter, and people have pigeonholed her into Harry Potter.
So the same
And
thing.
so
An actor being typecast. That
Yeah.
kind of thing. You're trying to break out of that.
exactly, and write something completely different and not have the
The baggage.
weight. Because I think when you read an author, like we did with Chimamanda, we all bring our expectations.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is why we then end up being disappointed. Because
Exactly.
You can't keep at that level all the time. There have to be some dips. Sigurd was very strong-willed there, wasn't she?
She was.
Kind of independent and very much, I'm going to do where I'm going to go. But at the same time, it's like there was no real satisfaction. She always seemed to be
Searching, looking, yeah.
but not finding, not quite grasping that thing that is just out of reach.
But what was it she was searching for?
Maybe it's the love,
Yeah.
an unconditional love of her father, or love as her father would have given it, a replacement love. Maybe that's what it was.
But I think she did have mental health issues as well. And that searching, I think, was probably part of that. So then, in what ways does the legacy of colonialism manifest itself in the book?
The fact that the novel is written in French is all as a result of the colonial history between,
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
and then it's translated into English, which again is the result of a colonial history. You know, we're all here speaking English because of the colonial history. So I like the part where it says, for all their differences, they shared the same fate, to leave and not come back, and the same dream to become learned men in the culture that subjugated and abused their own.
But then the same people that educated them, whatever, from the reviews, then couldn't even believe it. So she's like,
That-
but you're
yeah.
the ones that put them through the school, and then you're also then saying it's not possible. So
Because you don't want to
they
believe.
don't, yeah.
So I guess it's like the Indian team beating, the British team forevermore in cricket. Which team do you support? Are you truly British if you support the West Indies or the Indian team when they're playing England and trouncing England once again? So they outstrip the master, the colonial master that introduced this game to them. They're better than, and they find it very difficult.
It was like when Senegal beat England like last month in their friendlies. It was kind of like a friendly on the round, yeah. And I think the pundit always kept saying, it's the first time an African nation has been beaten. It's the first. I was just like, calm down.
It's like the end of the world.
It's 3-1. Like, and they played well, but it was like the first. I was like, oh my goodness. I don't know. It just bothered me that they kept repeating it. I
guess because they have such a low opinion.
Yeah.
Of
Senegal's
African
a good
nation.
team. Like,
Yeah,
it's not. I mean, if you play the.
They have a low opinion of Africans, or they have such an exalted opinion of themselves.
Isn't that the same thing?
Is that thing where in many of their minds, empire never ended.
Yeah. But at the same time, as we see in the book, Asani goes to fight for France. They expect you to dedicate and sacrifice your life for the motherland, but at the same time, they don't look upon you as a citizen. So although you're expected to give, you never really accept it. And it comes back to what Stanislav said about the writing and the award. They may, elevate one of you and put you up there in the limelight, but actually you never really accept it as one of them. You'll always be different.
Yeah.
For me, I guess what he's saying is that colonialism, number one, not only displaced people, it also gave some Africans a false sense of belonging that they were never ever going to get in the West.
At the same time, does it give people people from the African diaspora, does it give them the idea of we are going to be something different? So, for example, when you talk about black people, or you talk about white people, and you talk about mixed race people say, no, we're not black, we're not white, we are something other than those two things. We're both of them, or we're either of them. We are what we say we are. So in the same way, some of them we're simply saying that we're black. Some might say that we're white, even if the whites reject us. But many would say, no, we're neither black nor white. We are simply mixed race or dual heritage, that kind of thing. So the colonial enterprise, I say I'm Nigerian, but that's, I guess, because I've lived in Nigeria, although I wasn't born in Nigeria. And my formative years weren't spent in Nigeria, which is why I speak English the way I speak English, because I was born and raised here. And I always do think, had I been born in Nigeria, I'd be a different person. And had I learned English as a second language, I certainly would have been a different person.
He'd be saying delve. Did you hear about the argument on online about using the word delve?
Delve as in dive, or past tense sometimes.
As in DELVE. Yeah, dive into something, yeah. So AI, I don't know if you probably don't use AI. If you ask ChatGPT to write something for you, you always include the word delve in it.
Delve.
Yeah. And this is because ChatGPT has been trained by humans, and most of them in Africa and most of them in Nigeria. And Nigerians like to use big words, as we know.
Yeah.
So ChatGPT spits out a lot of big words. Right? So some guy posted a comment on Twitter to say, I can very easily say if something's been written by ChatGPT because it has the word delve in it. And the Nigerians descended upon the man. We use delve all the time. How can you be, yeah. So, That's why I said. That's why you don't
delve.
That's why you don't use the word delve, because you didn't grow up in Nigeria. So that's the other cultural thing. The impact of colonialism is that we learned English, and we learned a certain English and to speak at a certain level that is very different to what is spoken in the motherland. So we kind of tend to speak very old English, very proper English, whereas people in the motherland don't necessarily speak it that way.
Yes.
I don't know again if you saw Trump asking the Liberian president about his English. How do you learn to speak English so beautifully?
So beautiful. Where were you educated?
That's what he said.
Yes.
Yeah. He was our standard.
Yeah.
What did he say?
He was very respectful, which annoyed me, but you have to show, decorum. He's like in Liberia. And then he was like, he said in Liberia, didn't he?
Liberia, yeah.
And he was so surprised. And I was just thinking, do you not even know the history of the...
in Liberia,
And the US,
yeah.
the whole thing is ridiculous. But then there's Trump, so it's okay at the same time.
But it's not just Trump who would say that, though. I mean, I'm pretty sure Man in the Clapham Omnibus in the UK would ask that question.
Sorry?
The common man, yeah.
Yeah, but there's a certain type of person. That's why I said it's Trump. Biden wouldn't come out of that because he's not that
Probably
type of
not.
person.
Yeah.
So that's why I said Trump is Trump. There's a certain type of person that will say that. And even then, even if there's a certain type of person, still most normal people may think it in their head and it wouldn't actually come out in their mouth. No. So there's actually a certain type of person that would think it and also say it, and he's one of them.
Yeah.
He's arrogant as well.
Yeah.
Colonialism.
And also, so I just thought he's met quite a few African leaders, I'm sure. They all speak very good English. So I don't know Not that I'm not. I don't know what it was about that Liberian. That really
His English was
so because he just sounded like all the other ones.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
To summarize, what score would you give it out of 5, and would you recommend it?
It's a hard one. It's really hard because there's some parts that I loved and some parts that I hated. Overall, I found it tough to get through.
Yeah.
But I really admired the creativity and the fact that he could keep track of who was, either sleeping with who, their relationship to each other was. I mean, in terms of pleasure, because I know Carl sometimes he gives marks for how much he enjoyed reading and how he felt the book was in terms of.
So you're going to copy Carl?
I think I should in some way because I didn't really enjoy it. It was it was a labor, but not a labor of love to get through it. And I won't read it again, but it remains in my mind as in, the different tabs, I'm kind of interested in, well, why did he say this? Or why did he do that? I can't bear to give it just like a 2.5 over 5 because it deserves more than that.
Yeah.
But I can't bear to give it a 4. Maybe a 3.5.
Okay.
2.5, yeah, overall.
Okay.
I won't divide it into 2, 3.5. Very inventive and very creative.
Yeah, 3.5 as well. I feel like it did start off quite strong and I was enjoying it, and now it's become hard work to get through, and I'm persevering, so I still think he writes incredibly well. It's just, and I don't know. It's hard work at this point, and it was hard to keep up with different characters and what was going on. I think it should have been written a bit more of a. It just jumped around too much, which left me confused. There's so much, there's a problem, but there's also really good parts to it as well. And so again, 3.5. I don't know if I would recommend it to anyone because not that it's a bad book. I just can't think of who I could recommend this book to. So I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Not to say that it's a bad book because maybe it's me and my people I associate with. That could be my problem. I'm the problem. 3.5. Yeah.
Okay. I think I wish I'd read this before reading Bound to Violence because I think I came with expectations. And I think
that it would be another Bound to Violence.
Well, not necessarily another Bound to Violence, but I think that I'd find, I guess, more answers. I don't know. That I'd find more answers. So I kind of wish that I'd read this first. Like both of you, I agree that it's a labor, and I don't know if it's a labor of love. I enjoyed parts of it. There are parts of it that, I'm just like, I'm just going to skim through this one because I don't feel this is necessary. I really don't feel that this adds anything to the story. So I'm just going to skim through it and move on to the next chapter. I like his writing style. I like that he reflects and he makes you ask questions as he asks questions. So I like all of that. But I do feel that perhaps it should have been a much shorter book, and it would have been much more enjoyable had it been a shorter book with fewer characters, because there's some characters in here whose stories I didn't feel needed to be told. Would I recommend it? I think I would. But I would recommend it with a warning. I'll tell whoever's reading it.
Or the warning.
I'll tell whoever's reading it, be prepared to be frustrated. Yeah. It's a frustrating book. But it's also a book that actually is worth reading. You do learn a fair bit from it. But I also say, if you're going to read Bound to Violence, I think read this first and then read Bound to Violence.
I need to read that then.
Yeah. And Bound to Violence is not easy.
Just like this. It says hard.
Next year, Jackie, next year, and recent book next year needs to be easy breezy, okay? Nothing more than 250 pages.
I don't choose the books.
Just something light.
I don't choose the books. You guys choose the books.
I'm tired of learning. I don't want to learn anymore.
Okay.
I do love the cover.
Who is this meant to be? Dejan? Is it Eleman?
I don't know.
I don't know. Who would be one?
Guy in the strip club that faces the wall.
No, he was older.
Was he older?
Yeah, he was in
He
his...
used to wear the...
No, he was in his 70s.
Oh. That was Eleman.
Yeah, it was when he came back to do his final...
He's killing.
round of killing.
So it basically, if Denise had opened her mouth, she could have lived.
Yeah.
Is that,
Yeah.
Wow.
Anyway, I'll check out. So thank you so much for your time, and also to our lovely listeners, thank you so much for listening. And we shall see you next time, where we will be discussing An African History of Africa by Zainab Badawi. Until next time, goodbye.